Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
I want you guys all to go check the math. Check the math. Victor Marx was so sure that he was going to be the nominee for Republican candidate. So sure. You want to know why he's so sure? Because he knows. He knows. He knew. Go check the math over the last couple days. Go check what I wrote out yesterday. I said they will not let Barb Kirkmeyer win. They will not let Scott Bottoms win. When Barb Kirkmeyer was at 48% and Victor Marx was at 35%, I put up a post and I was like, don't worry about it. Guess what's going to happen? They're not going to let Barb win. I then, when it got closer and it was 41% to 38%, I put up another post and I said, the elections are fake and gay. They're not going to let Barb Kirkmeyer win. When it got even closer and it was 39% or 39.9 to 39.2, I put up another post and I was like, just a matter of time. Here's what you guys need to understand. All of the elections are fraudulent. They're not partially fraudulent. They're not sometimes fraudulent. They're not, hey, we have a free and fair election in Elbert County because somebody collected votes that were mail-in ballots. They're all fraudulent. They're frauds. They get to pick winners and losers. And we sit back and we watch it happen. We watch it happen and we let people justify it that only 41% of the Republicans actually came out to vote and only 48% of the Democrats. Let me do the math for you, okay? For all the people in the back of the room, when you build a system that has stored procedures, when you build a system that is behind a black box, all you have to do is press one button and the entire outcome is figured out. And the fact that you had 50-50 and a 20% outlier with Scott Bottoms shows you everything you need to know about the election. It's fraudulent. It is fraudulent. And let's talk about Bennett and Weiser. Weiser is a part of this cartel government. You had Polis, Weiser, and Griswold. Over the last 8 years, the places fell into a total state of disrepair. Complete state of disrepair. It's the third most dangerous state in the entire country. And somehow, you all think that the Democrats are dumber than rocks and decided to put Weiser in the #1 chief executive officer of the state of Colorado and walk past a safe bet of Bennett, who, frankly, I don't like Bennett either. But at least he wasn't a part of the leadership structure of Colorado that saw over the last 8 years the state be destroyed. And Jenna Griswold, how do you account for the fact that Jenna Griswold was hated by the people that worked for her? And she won the nomination, a part of this group of people that have literally destroyed the state over the last 8 years and walked past very competent people who could be the Attorney General? Come on, it's not real. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. The elections are fixed. They're fraudulent. And we showed it to you in 2020. We showed it to you in 2022. And now the media is saying that all of a sudden the American people are rushing towards communism as if it's some sort of savior for us. It's absurd. It's absurd. And the fact that we're even here having this conversation about a walking corpse, paper tiger like Victor Marx is even more absurd. It's absurd.
Well, I got to tell you, the more and more that we actually get into I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to bring Kyle on right now because I'm sure he's got lots to say about our fake and gay elections. Kyle, welcome to the show.
I think you owe me a burrito.
I owe you a burrito?
Yeah, we didn't bet on anything, but I feel like you've told me a lot of things that didn't come true, and so you should owe me a burrito for it. What do you think?
Look, hopium's a real thing.
I've watched it. It can be fatal. I actually have one of those memes from Oregon Trail, and it's like a picture of the covered wagon, and it said, "You died of trust the plan."
So listen, it's not happening on my time frame. I wish it would happen faster.
buddy.
I don't agree with you that it's not going to happen. I think it is going to happen. I'm wearing a tie.
But I don't think we're going to be alive for
week.
it. I don't think we're alive for it.
You don't think so?
No, I just read the book, and the book says that, we don't win on this planet. So,
Well, it kind of says that. It doesn't really say that. It doesn't really say that.
pretty sure all the early guys, they all probably would disagree with you. I think they all got killed. I think nobody made it out alive except John, and he just died by himself on an island because nobody could find him. It didn't work. It didn't take, but pretty much everyone else got killed pretty horrifically. It turns out, listen, here's my soundbite for you. I'm pretty sure that voting in our current election systems are like the grown-up version of writing letters to Santa Claus.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
I mean, you're going to get what you want as long as you were already going to get what you want. As long as your parents were already going to get you that.
So this brings me to the obvious. The elections are fake across the entire country in all 50 states.
Yeah,
and I've been talking about what was happening in the elections in Colorado specifically, which was home to the Dominion. The only thing that's changed over the last 6 years, you and I talked about this before, was that Dominion became Liberty vote. So let's put a
sounds better, to be fair.
It does, and if you
it
look
sounds
at
less tyrannical.
but the outcome is still the same. I mean, if you look at it, the outcome is still the same. It's a black box. Nothing over the last 6 years has been changed.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Mail-in ballots are still everywhere, and there's still no accountability. We have black box voting systems that tell you, "Hey, trust us, bro." It's the trust us, bro system. Trust us, bro. Every time there's a problem, it's
this turns out it was. Yeah, it turns out this was number 19 on Donald Trump's 20 promises to make America great again. So I bring this up every morning on my podcast, but it's like, let's just be real. It was an election promise, and it wasn't just Donald Trump's promise, for whatever it's worth. This was the Republican platform in 2024. They ran on 20 core things. They got a couple of them, but not in a big way, and certainly not the ones we cared about. They shut down the border. That was number one. Okay, check. Number two, carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. I like big whiff. Second one, end inflation, make America affordable. If the economy is kicking ass and we're not in new wars and you're deporting people and we have elections, those are pretty much it. It's like, those are the three big deals. If you did that, you can have 20 points.
If you did that well.
You get on Mount Rushmore if you deported 20 million, not 50, but let's say you got 20 million people out of this country instead of one. If you got 20 million people out, the amount of pressure it would take off the system would be absurd. The amount of, we already saw what happens when you make illegal aliens not get on the road in Los Angeles when they were doing the big push. We watched LA rush hour traffic stop. Do you know how insane that is to think? Having driven in Los Angeles 15 years ago and how crazy it was then, if you could not have traffic today with the number of people that live there, that tells you a little bit about how many people are illegally in this country, particularly in big cities. Okay, if you did three things, you deported a bunch of people, and the number has to be a lot more by an order of magnitude than what we deal with today. If you got the economy humming instead of bombing Iran, 20 million is a good number.
Yeah, 20 million. I mean, you got rid of 20 million, a lot of things would change.
Agreed. And you're going to also fix things like pressure on rents. You're going to pressure on the housing market. You're going to have pressure on all the other things that are, have a high demand at the moment. You're going to be able to drop the price on all kinds of goods. So all that stuff is great, but that doesn't happen. If you did any of these things and they all kind of cascade into each other, then you get to get your face on Mount Rushmore, and everybody who didn't even like you would cheer for it. Or you could just not do that, and you could just take a couple $1 billion in crypto and increase your net worth by 2 or 3x, and have your children get all kinds of massive Pentagon deals.
Hold on a second. Time out. I have to disagree with you.
I'm going to rug pull everybody on a crypto coin. It's going to be called the Trust the Plan coin.
Hey, it still exists, right? The coin's still out there, still doing well, right?
No, it's not.
It's not?
No, it's not.
The coin's not doing well?
No, billions. Did you not read this? The Donald Trump reported something like $2.3 billion in crypto income in last year.
But what's wrong with it?
What's wrong with it is they were all pump and dumps. You can look at what happened. So they announced the coin.
Right,
a bunch of people bought into it. Pull it up. A bunch of people bought into it, and then when they did, they got rug pulled, and the money moved over into stable coins that went over to this like World Liberty or whatever the hell their holding company is, and then the coin tanked. I read an analysis from a crypto account the other day that said if you bought $1 million worth of Melania, the Melania meme coin, $1 million when it was first introduced, it's worth $8,000 worth of holdings at this point. Your $1 million is worth $8,000.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. It's crazy bad. The graph is classic. It's a pump and dump. It goes like straight up. Everybody who got into it. There's a drop. There was a minor pump, and then it just tanked. So all these people got rug pulled by their president. And the president's family. But that's atrocious.
Well, I mean,
how do you do that?
Just time out.
I know this hurts your feelings. Sorry.
It kind of hurts my feelings because
I know
because look, I buy stocks all the time. I bought crypto. I had a bunch of money that was in Bitcoin. I had Bitcoin money. My Bitcoin's worth 40% or 50% of what it was. Right? I've lost 50% on it. Now I haven't lost, 992,000.
992%.
Yeah, I haven't done that.
Whatever the hell that was.
But you take risks when you actually get into things, right? And the
I
coin
don't
market
think that's who was buying into it. You do. You're a savvy investor. You're a man who's like played this game. You're an analytical type. Most people don't have that. Today, Donald Trump was out on the tarmac talking about how your 401k is doing better. Well, what does that do for me? First of all, I don't have a 401k. I got IRAs, but my IRA is doing better than it was, I guess. I mean, it's gone up every year, so fine. But telling me that my IRA is doing well when I'm 44 and I got 4 kids to feed, I can't eat an IRA. I can't pull money out of it to go to Costco and go shopping just because. And the number of people that are making money in the market on a daily basis that are like feeding themselves with stock trading, it's under 2% of the country. So again, I'm just saying the bold arguments that need to be made are you already made them and you won an election if you believe that sort of thing. I actually don't believe the election in 24 was not without the same problems. I just think that they thought if they put someone in other than Donald Trump, we were going to kill him. I think that was what was going on. I think you got a really good number of people showing that if you go the wrong way with this election, it's going to result in people getting drawn out and guillotined. And Donald Trump seems like he's okay with the idea of guillotines because his daughter's out there talking about how she had $800 million and they're going to develop a private island. And there's all this crazy stuff that just sounds French Revolution-y to me. I'm just listening to it going, when are regular people that are struggling? And there's a lot of them. And to be fair, I don't struggle every day, but I got friends all around me that do. I got neighbors that are worried whether or not they're going to be able to feed their family. They've lost a job in an industry that may be going away. So when people look around and they go, hey, didn't we elect the so-called blue-collar billionaire, the guy who was like, I get it. I want to make America awesome, and I want to make it awesome for you specifically. And now he's just out there telling you it's awesome, but it's K-shaped. And so the people who have money and resources and the ability to put in, stock markets, and they can actually benefit from having a bunch of money in this system, they're going to be fine. I'm kind of like in the middle of the K, to be fair, man. Like I'm not broke. I'm not wealthy. I'm going to survive. I don't struggle every day with wondering whether or not I'm going to feed my family, but I look around and I know people that regularly do. And I go, well, I'm not that many moves away from that. I've lost a job and gone 18 months without a paycheck or 14 months and seen how rough things could get. I was like, hey, am I going to live in an RV? Is my family going to just travel around with no particular place to live? Am I going to go hide in a national park? I've had that thought, recently.
Well, I mean, look, and so there's two sides of this. In order for there to be winners, there has to be losers, right? Would you agree with that? Like someone has to buy something in order to.
The losers being like Yemen.
No, I mean, look, the market is what the market is. I've done fairly well. I mean, this from a stock market standpoint, over the last 8 years, I'll just use the last 8 years, I'm up like 1,200%, right? I've done fairly well in the marketplace.
It's pretty good.
Right?
Did you say 8 years?
8 years. I'm up probably 1,200%. I've outperformed the S&P, the Dow, and the NASDAQ by 6x, easily 6x.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm the Bernie Madoff, but I've only done it for myself. I never did it for anybody else. And a friend of mine said, Joe, you have that quant mind. You have that mind that basically is that you can look at something and go, okay, this is going to go up. And typically that is how I do things. Was he telling you
Was he trying to tell you that you're into men? Was that what he was saying?
No, it's not.
You said it was going to go up. I'm just hold on. Can we share a story? Can we share a story before you get too serious?
Yeah, no. I'm never serious with you on here because
I can't. I just finish your thought. Then I'm gonna come back to this topic.
So my point is that when you talk about stocks or you talk about Bitcoin, everyone's happy when it's doing really well. When it does really poorly, sure. It's always somebody else's fault, right? And you have to be responsible for your. I've made trades. I made a trade on Alibaba, and I was like, okay, it hit the floor. It's not going to go any lower. I bought it at 112. It was like 250, and now it's at 90, right? So I lost a bunch of money, and I lost a considerable amount of money putting it on Alibaba, right? And so I keep saying, I hope it goes back up, and it keeps going down, and then they lose all their what's it called, lobbyists, and the State Department, everyone put pressure on them and basically wants to ban them and do all this stuff. So the stock drops, right? And I'm going, this is not going to end well for me. But I didn't say, the government is terrible. The government caused this to happen. I agree. To me, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's anyone's, I think people are responsible for their own circumstances too.
Well, President Trump has been a successful businessman for 3 decades. And I think that I believe he has. I mean, he's worth $4 or $5 billion beforehand. Look, as long as he has $1 billion in front of his name.
Yeah, he does. But can we also agree that there's a difference between being a scrupulous person and being someone who leverages the systems as they are? Like I would never tell my children to aspire to be like the business that they run, as far as I can see from the outside.
You mean are you talking about the hotel network and everything that he has?
Just leveraging debt and there's just a lot of. You can make a ton of money in this country, and I think a lot of people have done it, and they're not particularly bright necessarily. They're just not good people. Our FBI director is a great example of that. He's not particularly bright. He's a bad person, as far as I can tell. And he's
Punjab Bob. So
he's got a fair amount of money, though. He's got more money than I got. And so there are people that do very well, as long like there's an advantage to being unscrupulous. In fact, being a person that has scruples and ethics and wants to see other people do well and is not willing to cut their throats to be able to take what they have, that's a disadvantage in a real cutthroat business market where other people are willing to do that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's the untalented people that don't have real talents will cut the throats of other people in order to be successful.
Yeah.
People that are talented don't have to, but have to fight like hell to keep what they have because the unscrupulous people are trying to take it from them. And I can tell you right now that I've been through that there's a line in the sand. There's the dark side, and then there's the black and white for me. That gray area is very small. And I always say, never put your foot on the side of the devil, not even for a minute. Right. And so I've lived in a very ethically minded environment where I don't get close to the line ever. When it comes to business, I've done really well. I think God's blessed me immensely. And at the same time that he does that, I find myself having to fight people to the point where to keep what I have because they're trying to take it from me by using.
I agree with everything you said, but I also think that you're more exceptional than most. Like that's the whole point. I think that if you're ethical, then you have to be pretty smart.
And look, I have my foibles. I have things that I've done. Like I was not the most honorable, husband in the world. For a part of my life, and I had to learn that that honor and commitment are unnegotiable, right? I didn't grow up that way. I mean, I grew up a hood rat. So I mean, there's a certain portion of things that you learn as you go along. President Trump, though, say what you want, people, the average tenure of people that work for him is like 9 years. They enjoy working for him. So why would people work? Average tenure inside of my company is very high. So why would people work for you for a long period of time if you were a bad guy? And maybe it's more complicated than that.
I just look at, I'm sure it's a lot more complicated than that. I look at, like I said, when people, I don't care if he's a good person, and I don't necessarily think that he's a great business person. And I don't think that really matters to like what needed to be done. What he said is he was going to deliver on certain promises.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with those. And it turns out, I don't think he's a good he's not a role model for any one of my children, never would be. He's an adulterer and he's philandered on his wife and he's betrayed some of the most fundamental trust that you could do. So there's like a lot of problems that I could look and go, that's not what I think good men necessarily do, but maybe great men do. This is the kind of argument, the good versus great, right? A lot of good men are not great and a lot of great men are not good. Is that fair?
Yeah, but I mean, Kyle,
all I'm saying is,
you're a
all I want him to
unicorn.
do is, well, yeah, I'm me.
But you're an exceptional individual that has lived his life according to being exceptional, right? You're exceptionally smart. Your analytical skills are above probably, I've never seen someone whose mind works as fast as yours. I've met some of the brightest minds in the world. I have never seen someone that can figure out a Rubik's Cube in his brain faster than you can.
You know what's funny? I've never done a Rubik's Cube. It's a very nice compliment. It's a nice compliment to pay me, but I've never.
But the ethical.
But I'm sure I could learn a Rubik's Cube.
But I mean, the ethical standards by which you have, like, I couldn't adhere to that. I mean,
this is something that but this is the problem with the election system. It goes back to what you were talking about. We don't have elections. Should we not, in this country of 350 million people, should we not be able to field 600 really exceptional people to come in and be in charge of stuff? Shouldn't we be able to field high ethical, high capability, high intellectual horsepower, good follow through, common sense, reasonable human beings to be in charge? And shouldn't those people be able to get a following in an America that has all the blessings and benefits that we have? I don't want to be one of them, to be fair. I don't. But shouldn't we be able to put just really good and decent people in that are going to be willing to resist it? Or do we just have a system that's only going to affirm itself and it's going to keep licking the same ice cream cone that it is? I mean, this is why you're not going to, this is why it's not doom. I think it's darkly pragmatic. You said you have hope, and hopium, it's a thing, no doubt. But I also, logically speaking, this system is too big, too flawed, too overreaching, and too corrupt to be able to be corrected with any individual silver bullet that says, okay, well, we could just fix it if this. The number of flaws that we could point out right now in the next 10 minutes that exist in our republic, and then also in our cultural values and the types of people that are drawn to it, they're innumerable, and they're all basically intractable problems. So here's my argument. I told you I wanted to make an argument to you, and I want you to chew on it for a second. And I don't feel awesome about this argument, but I do think I think the analysis is correct. Okay. Right. I think that Americans are, in their mind, an exceptional people. And we definitely have a very decent percentage of people that are truly exceptional, physically capable, know the right from wrong, know how to enact things and cause change in the physical world with either violence or building or whatever, creating or destroying. Okay. And this nation is essentially founded, whether it's a creation myth or reality, we're founded on this idea that when there was tyranny, we rose up as a people, at least enough of us did, critical mass did, to throw it off violently, taking up arms, risking life, pledging life, fortune, sacred honor, and saying no more, this place is special and we're going to do something different with it. So that's the American creation story. And I think that there is still a spirit of that in America. And I know that because you're disappointed in what's going on, and I'm disappointed. We manifest it differently. But the people that we like, they have a nostalgia for what America represented in their minds, and they have a frustration with what it currently is. And I also really dislike what's going on with our political system, which basically is conflating nostalgia and patriotism. They say, don't you like the concept of an America that is fair and great and exceptional and has wonderful people that if you work hard, the calculation for America equals hard work over a period of time equals success. That's it. It's just a really simple calculus. If you work really hard, then you will get good things out of it eventually. And it may take a lot of redoing and you may fail, whatever, but you'll get there. Grind your way through. So that's what we sell. Right now, what people see is work really hard and you might get success. You're also going to be holding on to a bunch of anchors that are going to be dragged along with you. Not because you said, I want to take care of people at my church or my community is valuable or my neighbor needs something, right? It's going to be illegal aliens. It's going to be people who came here without the same work ethic that didn't assimilate, etc. And so here's my supposition. The same mentality that existed in the 1776 America that we hear about in lore, it's still there. It's still active and available for tasking, but there is no person that can say, if you just did violence in this way, if you eliminated these chess pieces, if you broke this part, then everything would start resetting. Nobody could tell me that if we had 6 senators bumped off and a couple of congressmen and some people in the cabinet, and then that would be it. There's like, we got to kill like 50 people who are, evil, corrupt sons of bitches. If you kill these 50 sons of bitches, then the world goes to the way that you want it to be. Nobody could see that. But you could see it when there was in 1776. It was like, if we can get the Brits off our back, then we can do things our own way. And so they did. They expelled an external enemy. We now have an enemy that is internalized, and it is completely rooted in the system. The system is intertwined with it to the point where they're inextricable. So we don't know what the action is. So a lot of people have this violent feeling, which is just that I want to take aggressive action to solve it. And they don't know where to apply that sentiment. And it's turning into burnout, doom, depression, etc. I fear that if anybody figures out where to point it, like that person and that group or that thing is over. But I don't think that people know where it is. And so what we're going to see is this growth until it just collapses under its own weight. Our system was fatally wounded 113 years ago, And so we're not living in the American Republic as it was designed. And you're seeing this with birthright citizenship and other things. We could you just saw this in the 14th Amendment case that went in front of the Supreme Court. You literally don't need to worry about letting people plop a baby out here and letting them become American, as long as there's not a net that says that everybody else has to pick up their burdens. Because the minute that there's no safety net, then it doesn't matter. You can bring in as many people as can survive, and the people that can't survive won't come here. And that was the case up until, 1913, and then eventually the 1930s, the Great Society grew on that. So you head up with 1913 giving the federal government the centralized power to tax your income first. That didn't exist beforehand. And the Federal Reserve System happened at the same time. And of course, we also broke the Senate. You move forward a couple of years and you end up with the post-Depression era, or the FDR moves to try to bring about a bunch of civic works and have the government actually give people a redistribution of money, which is crazy as far as America goes. And then that's become standardized. And then you have the Great Society. And now you're in a place where it is expected that you will get things. Like being born on American soil equals you get lots of goodies. That's a fatal flaw that happened long before any of us were around. So, the voting system, but it's like we can't vote our way out of that.
Well,
The system doesn't want it.
So the system doesn't want it because they're afraid of who moved my cheese. It's the idea that they could give up entitlements or give up self-interest in order to give back the people the ability to self-govern. And right now, we're not in a place of self-governorship. We don't have a free and fair system. We have a judicial coup that, in large part, basically throws the laws out, does whatever they want, puts American people at risk, creates victims out of our community, stripped us of our First Amendment, Second Amendment rights, justifies it by saying we're here to help, does things to indoctrinate our children inside the schools because that's the ideal that's been passed down from someone above them. And they want to keep their jobs. They want to keep their own environment. So that's why they adhere to this. So it's not, it is an easy problem to fix if we were able to attach the very problem. Let's say there's 1 to 20 and President Trump got 6 of the 20 right. The only one that the American people, and I think this is where he got it wrong, is fixated on is that they want free and fair elections. And from there, let us take care of it ourselves. We'll get back to having a judicial process that we hold accountable because we'll be able to press into it. But when you see no progress over 6 years, and you know that the fundamental value over the last 6 years that got us to the place where DSA is getting elected, DSA officials, Democrat Socialists of America get elected, Mandami is running, New York, rent is being frozen for illegals and people from other countries, while the American people are suffering. People are stepping over the dead bodies.
The building.
And they're stealing those buildings. They're stealing those buildings. And I have a guy that's going to be coming on. His name's Tim Burton. That the DOJ and the FBI came in, stole $400 million from him. There was no judicial process. There was no jury. There was no, they just came in and took it from him. And under an SEC, he went and tried to whistleblow and said that the Chinese are laundering money, and they came and took everything from him, nearly $500 million, right? So we're recognizing that people are inside of a system that is largely built by people that are the haves, and 99% of America, not based on how much money you have, but 99% of America are the have-nots. Because if they find out that you have more than they want you to have, they'll just take it from you, right? And so the only way you equalize this, and I think that that's the one thing that I want to get out of this, is that, you know, you're not happy with what President Trump is doing. I'm not happy with several things that haven't gotten done. I have hopium. You don't. You rub off on me a little bit on that.
I know, because I just heard you say all of my calculus. You just went through the entire math problem the same way that I'm adding it up. And you're adding it up to a different answer, I think. But
well, I think
we've done this. We've done this for about 2 years, you and I, maybe more. And each time that you and I've had a private conversation where you're like, "Oh my God, this is about to happen."
Yeah, because I
have
people that tell me that this is about to happen.
No, I know. I'm not holding you accountable for what your hope is. What I'm saying is that we've just seen it, unfortunately, and it's I don't take any pleasure in it. It's not like a joyful position to say, hey, some things out there are going horribly wrong, and I think it might get even worse. Like, it's sort of like a gallows humor that I laugh about it, because I just go, oh, well, but you know, I got a 2-year-old daughter that I'm bringing up in this world, and I've got 3 other ones that are older than that, and they're all very small.
Yeah,
and when I drive around, Joe, if you ever want to have a radicalizing experience, folks, especially if you're a parent. My wife got a huge kick out of this the other day. I don't think she's ever done this before. I did this to her when we met. It's the reason why my wife is not a left-wing, loony, communist, which is more or less. And not only did I convert her, I converted her from her financial and her sort of governmental views, which was that government solves problems and all the left-wing ideas. She was also an atheist when I met her, or she was at least agnostic. She didn't understand. And my wife prays the rosary every day and, spends like 45 minutes on her knees every single day at interims where she's got an alarm set, and she goes and prays the Angelus. And my wife is a better person than I am by a lot, and has been probably forever. I just kind of revealed it to her. I didn't do anything special. The craziest thing for me is she's never had the conversation that she and I had early on in our dating relationship about taxes, and she's having them now with our children. And so they're explaining, we're going to go to the store and we're going to take money that your dad earned, that the government got a bite out of. He had to pay the government for the privilege of earning money. And they're like, what? Because they have an idea, like they've been paid for chores, or they've done, got tooth fairy money. It's like, imagine that every time you got money, then you just had to look at it, and then you had to give something back to the people that it came from, or it came from somebody else, and someone else came and took it from you, and they go, oh, that's crazy. And then I tell them, it's like, okay, and now we're going to go to a store, and we're going to pay the government for the privilege of doing business with that store. We're going to give them a cut of the deal on top of what the thing costs. I will also pay the government, which essentially didn't have anything to do with what was going on there in this commercial transaction. And they're like, no way. And I'm like, yeah. And then we're paying tolls on the roads we're driving to get down to Costco, even though we already paid to build those roads with tax dollars. So we're going to pay some continuing. And then we're going to spend special taxes on the fuel for the vehicle. And if you live in a place like Virginia, where I used to live, you might have to pay for the right to own your own vehicle every year. They have private property taxes where they assess, I think your vehicle is worth this much, and therefore, even though you paid taxes when you bought it, you're going to pay us another $650 just for the right to own this freaking vehicle in this state, and all kinds of other shit like that. And so when you do that, your kids look at you like, hey, are you out of your damn mind, Dad? How do you live in this system? Because an 8-year-old can look at it and go, that doesn't make any sense.
It's a slave system.
It doesn't make any sense. But if you do that at addition and you come there's no way that I get to the end of that and I go like, oh yeah, this makes perfect sense. It's gonna work out okay.
Well, so
you go ahead.
I mean, no, you're not wrong. I mean, you're not wrong about where you're going or how you feel about it. And even people that are close in the administration that have the same feelings. And by the way, we're not a small tribe. We're a big tribe of people that recognize this. We're just ones that are able to vocalize it and put it out in such a way that people understand it. Now, I talk about 56 cents on every dollar goes to the government, which means you're less than a half of a person. It's one of the reasons like a husband and wife have to work, and you can't actually make things meet. You can't make ends meet with just a one person household, because the meat off the bone is too much is being taken by the government. And they treat us basically like institutional slaves. Now, that's me being academic. It's not me being anti-American. I mean, I think the American principle is that they take a small part and they provide entitlements to us in order to make our lives better. Well, that's not what's happened. It's become a grift fest. And, the average thing that costs $1 now costs $20, because $19 have to go to Tom, Dick, and Harry over, their part, their cut. And in large part, you said we can't find 600 people that run for office that can oversee us in such a way that they look out for the American people. The answer is no, they can't. because there's too much grift and graft that's been allowed through a system where above the line, the lawlessness, the only people that are held to a standard are the people. We have the millstones on our chest. We have the millstones on our chest. And the fact that illegals are here shows you that illegals are above the law because they're here illegally. They're here breaking the law. And then you have, qualified immunity for judges, and you have it for big pharma. And so you got bigger for technocracy because, they have these rules that are put out there. So the sooner or later, there's no one left below the line. That's where we're at right now. That's where we're at right now. And so we're dealing in a system where the one thing that I want President Trump and the American people, largely 80% of the American people want to solve, is they want to solve the election problem because we are self-governing people. If you allow us to elect people that are good people and you put your boot on the neck of media, in other words, pull back the 2012 Smith Modernization Act, rescind it. Make it so that the media can't lie to people and use it as a bully pulpit to beat people into submission over ideals, right? Then you have a chance. Otherwise, we're going towards civil war. We'll be there in the next 5 years. And frankly, we know who our targets are. But the other side doesn't. They're a bunch of fools that believe that.
I literally just got a message today. I was just before we went on, some guy decided to let me know that he was coming for me. And I thought that was pretty fun. He said, you're getting effed up. Before any of the Marxists do, when the shit hits the fan, we're going to take out the traitors to our movement first. It's like the traitors are the ones that are calling out a spade and are recognizing the problem is what it is. How are you going to fix a problem if you can't even diagnose it? And that's the crazy thing that I see. I see a lot of people, they want to believe that this is the danger. I'm not sure a lot of Americans want the responsibility that comes with the freedom of an actual election. You said our tribe is bigger than I think. I'm sure it is. I think that in theory, that sounds good, right up until the point where you realize there is nobody else to blame. There is no other thing you can lean on. And that means that all the safety nets are off. It's like, well, my wife would be like, well, what are they putting in our food? And you go, oh, well, do you want government to look into it? Because I don't. I would rather just look into the farmer's hand and find out what he's cutting up and if he's adding weird shit to the meat, because I'll know if he's unscrupulous. I want to deal more directly with people. I want to have less middlemen, and that involves, less government intervention. It also involves less, sort of other people that are non-producers getting involved in the logistics chain. And we actually have a place now, crazily enough. Our country is actually so streamlined, our logistical capabilities of being able to deliver across different boundaries. We could have far less middle things than we do, but the system is, it is what it is. It continues to feed itself. And self-preservation is probably like the most high end of the operating principles of all the things out there. And government's no different. So that's why Ronald Reagan said it. The closest thing to eternal life on earth is a government program. Like, you don't see them go away, even the ones that we don't need, and a bunch of them. How about this? You want to get, this is my black pill. On day one, Donald Trump said he was going to get rid of the Department of Education, and they signed an executive order. And it's an executive program with an executive staff. And there's still a Secretary of Education.
Well, I mean,
I'm just saying, he said he wanted to get rid of it, and he wrote it up, and theoretically that's within his purview.
So
just shut the door. Tell him to go home.
But he did that in a lot of other places. He did that with USAID. But we have an apparatus, and this is something I want you to consider. Look, I consider everything that you tell me. Matter of fact, it makes me want to. I black pill myself. I go back in a room and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I remember the two words that I've lived my life by, and that is, but God. Like, I've lived my life by those two words. That, hey, look, I don't understand the trial that I'm going through. I don't understand this desert that I'm walking through. But I just got to trust that it's okay, and something good will come out the other end. And out of something bad, something good always has manifested itself. It's like you got to burn it down in order to get fertile soil. So I apply that segment to my life. You have young children. I hurt for the fact that your young children have to live through this. And as a parent with a young child, I have nieces and nephews, and it drives me nuts because I want them to have something better than what I had, more opportunity. And I don't see that in the future.
I think we had a lot more opportunities. It's that little catchphrase I've probably used with you before, but like, the country I was born in would invade the country I live in.
100%.
They're not the same country. I was born in 1981, and that country in 1981 thought it was the good guy, wanted to be the good guy, aspired to be the good guy, told the kids that they were the good guy, and then gone out and, did some bad things as well. But at the same time, they were aspiring to something. And now we have a bunch of kids growing up, and people don't even half the aisle, half the political parties think that we're not the good guy. And that's the game. The game is we're the good guy, we're not the good guy. It was like in the 90s, in 94, everybody agreed that we like the United States. How do we make it better? Oh, we need to have better government programs to take care of people. Oh, we need to have more individual freedom and less government. That was literally the argument, as opposed to what we're at right now. We're like, is it even good? It's like, we haven't even accepted the same premise anymore. We've literally lost the foundational pieces that made us the same thing. So our tribe I'm sure is quite big. I'm sure it's actually a majority of Americans. And at the same time, they're not the majority of the people who are doing the influence. I don't think that they have the biggest say. I think they're the biggest base, but no one's running, because I don't think you can get elected if you're a person who represents what I call bacon cheeseburger nationalist position. If you're an American from 20 years ago, or let's call it 30 years ago, if you're a regular American from 30 years ago, you can't get elected in this system, because I don't think the elections are working. I don't think they're real.
Well, they're not real. They're not real at any level, because they have too many trap doors, too many levers that you can pull. But if you want to change that system, Kyle, and this is the thing that I will say to President Trump, or I'd say to anyone, if you want to change the system, if you want to change the direction that we're going in, this slippery slope to the end, you can't just put a speed bump to the tyranny of America. You've actually got to put a wall up that can withstand the fire that you get from the other side. And he is in a position right now where he has the levers of power, right? You say whatever you want. We have people on our side that are the Judases, and you and I have talked about this. Where is the Julius Caesar moment? Who's going to be the Julius Caesar? Who's going to stand up and do what is necessary in order to protect the well-being and the future of not just this nation, but the world? Because what we are facing in facing in the United States is it's endemic to the world. It's in every country.
Yeah, and this would be, I would say, one of the last dominoes. But my argument to you, I don't think it's going to be an 80-year-old heavy-set man. I said that I've held on to the idea. I've held on to the idea that it would be. I know.
I held on to the idea that it would be.
Yeah, and I'm not mad at you for it, and I don't think you're mad at me for thinking otherwise. It's like we're two guys who look at the same problem. We see this is a possibility, and the probabilities don't stack up for me, and your calculus is coming up with something else, and that's okay. I think that the American Caesar, since you brought up the concept of it, number one, I think it's being discussed. I think that it's clearly not Donald Trump, because if he was the American Caesar, he would do it, and he didn't. And that would have been, I think, the first, if you'd asked me that in the first 8 weeks of this second term,
you would have said, yes.
I would have said, wow, he's sure as hell going that route. When Doge shut down, when all we got was USAID and people realized that too much was getting turned off and that's it, we can't do any more. They're already telling you that the stuff they did, which helped eliminate some and nowhere near enough fraud, killed 600,000 people worldwide with no particular reason to be able to estimate. They just make up numbers. And they're like, you're an evil, dirty villain who's killed 600,000 people by shutting down the American taxpayer, funding the entire effing globe as though it was the globe's response, even though he ran on a simple principle. They were 2 words as well. What were they? America first.
Right.
It's the equivalent of my, I think Tom Massey said it the other day when he was in some sort of a speech. He said the idea that you were handing out foreign aid at this point in American, history, with the debt that we have and the way that everything's all stacked up and the way that our system is leveraged. He's like, it would be the equivalent of running with pails of water to water your neighbor's flowers while your house was on fire. It's a great analogy too. When you get to it, you're like, yep, that's what we're doing. We're watering the neighbor's flowers as our house is burning. I don't think this guy is there. And again, whenever it happened, something changed. It felt like it actually happened in June or July of 2025. If I'm going to pin it down to something, I watched a few things happen simultaneously, and I don't know if they're related, and I don't have any evidence they are. I just know that we had a flood in Texas, a big one, and a bunch of young girls were killed in a religious camp. And as soon as that information came out, that Sunday night, while the flooding had happened on a Friday and a Saturday, and through the Sunday they were doing body recovery, and it was a horrific story, the DOJ dropped the Epstein investigation memo closing the Epstein investigation. And there was a like a radical pivot in, I don't know that it was about that specifically, and I'm not particularly conspiratorial about Epstein I think he's a symptom, not like the problem. But I do think there was a pivot where something changed and it was in focus. And they're like, we're closing out liabilities in this administration. We are battening down the hatches and we're just going to weather the storm and we're all going to come out okay, but everyone else might be effed. That's what it looked like. And we've kind of gone that route. That's what I think.
I can't. So I will tell you this. I don't believe that President Trump is, has lived a virtuous life. Look, I haven't lived a virtuous life. Actually, I have in a lot of ways, but I mean, I paid for an abortion because it was convenient. I live with it still crushes me to this day. Like I think about it all the time, right? Because I have two beautiful children, and frankly, it's a path that I wish I never would have taken. I wasn't particularly a good, husband to my first wife. I think I've been a pretty good husband to my second wife, but still, I have my issues. So I think that I've done things in my life. I think I thought that the moral high ground existed in business, and I left it there, but I didn't apply it to every part of my life until probably 20 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. So prior to that, I was just learning. I don't know if he has the same symptoms that I have. Matter of fact, I would bet that he doesn't, because he came from a family that had money. But at the same time, I think he's done good over his life, and I think he's at the end of his life. And so there is an opportunity, and I think this is a thing that I still hold on to, is that President Trump, he has this thing in him that he wants to do good, and he doesn't necessarily want to take credit for it. And so there's an opportunity that I still see that we have, that he could, punch through the wall and say, we're going to fix the elections, we're going to do these things. The ODNI report, he wants it declassified. That Tulsi Gabbard, he directed the DNI, Director of National Intelligence, to release that information. That just happened this morning.
Let me just hit that one thing specifically, because he has the undeniable authority to declassify anything he wants. That's the thing that we do when we make a president. And if Joe Oltmann is president, we've just moved you in, you were the VP, and whoever the president was just passed, and you just get sworn in, and now you have the ultimate authority. By the way, the vice president has the same authority the president does, for whatever it's worth, when it comes to declassifying and classifying information. They're the ultimate authority as defined by Barack Obama's executive order. So you're the boss of all declassifications, and you say, we need to know what that ODNI report said about elections and interference and this, and I need it declassified. And the people go, well, sir, and you go, nope, I've made my decision. It is declassified. Disseminate it. And then they don't. I know you well enough. I know you well enough that you're driving to that building because you've got 45 minutes in your day to do this, and you're going to collect that report, and no one is going to get in your way. And then you're going to physically take it, and you are going to make sure that it is published with people who will do it. I know that you will do that.
Of course I would.
I know. I mean, I know you do. I just know that that's the way you operate. You will solve that problem. My problem has always been is that a lot of the stuff that Donald Trump says sounds good, and then his follow through on it sounds like somebody else is whispering in his ear and giving him the reasons, and he goes, and this is why an 80-year-old man will not be it, because you're still bold enough. You're young enough and bold enough, and you're not young. And neither am I comparative to, like, someone told me the other day, they were like, they served me, and I was like, oh shit. And then I was like, oh, I'm twice your age. Like, yeah, you should serve me. But like, I look at them as maybe a peer because they're a grown man, and yet you're in your 20s. So like, you're still, I'm a sir to you for sure. We're old enough to know some things, and still young enough, maybe stupid enough and bold enough to do things. And there's a sweet spot for that. And it's the reason why you don't keep people in positions of executive authority into their 80s. And probably at 60 something, we should start reevaluating that. And we don't like to admit it because we're all getting older. I'm older every day. I got more gray in my muzzle every day. I look and I go, oh crap. I feel like I should be younger. And then I'm like, oh, but this hurts. Why does that hurt? Because I'm not young anymore. So the recognition that I love my father to pieces. He's 77 years old, and I don't want my dad necessarily running a town. I don't think he should be the mayor of anywhere because he's not bold enough now, because there are things that are threats to him that would never have been threats to him before. And we all slow down not recognize it. And Donald Trump is exceptional. I will give him the exceptional. At 80, he's exceptionally energetic.
Yes.
He is exceptionally with it on every level. And he is still not the man that he was 10 years ago. And he's certainly not the man that he was 30 years ago. And I've listened to those interviews, and they're glaring. And he's less articulate, and he's less fluid in thought, and he's less connected to the things that he's talking about, because I just feel like his analysis it's old, it's tired. Some of it has to come from the exhaustion. So he gets all the grace of being an 80-year-old man who probably had great ideas and intention, and yet executing at 80, it's not a thing that we should expect of anyone. And so I don't even like that he's in the office. And I didn't like it when he ran. I would have preferred someone else did it. I would have loved if he said, they came for me. This is unacceptable. I'm going to hand my my imprimatur and my blessing down to this person who's going to carry on the banner. Someone has to pick it up, and it has to be someone younger and smart and gets the principle. If he had done that, and that had gone into 2024, I don't know if we'd be in a better spot, but I knew that he wasn't the American Caesar when the first couple of weeks went away, and it was like he ran out of gas, it seemed like. And the consequences of those actions probably had to come home at some point, because like you got to figure the American Caesar also dies at the end, right?
Well, the American Caesar, every Caesar dies at the end. Everyone dies at the end. And I think this is the part where we've basically taken our brightest, our bravest, and we've sent them to war over the last 100 years. Sure. And what's left is kind of what the bottom of the barrel, right? And so there are still those that survived that pushed it through their families. There's still, frankly, my grandfather was one of the bravest men I've ever met. I mean, he was unbelievable. The things that he did during World War II, as a guy that, falsified his birth certificate so he could go in and feed his family. Most people today would not do. At 16 years old, jumping out of an airplane over Germany to go in there and fight, only to be wounded and go back into battle, knowing that he had an obligation to fulfill. That just doesn't exist, right? That type of commitment to life, of running on the beaches of Normandy, knowing that the first wave, second wave, third wave were probably going to die, never be fathers, never be grandfathers, never be, never have the opportunity to have children and get married, enjoy life, move on, like experience the American dream. They did it for an intrinsic value of freedom, something they couldn't see.
Yeah.
They had faith. And yet we live in this morally depraved world that believes that there's no value to what's in front of us. And so it's more difficult for people to be like who you are, to be like who I am, right? To stand up and say, look, I'm willing to sacrifice it all. And even if I die and I die in vain, it's okay, because I get to be with my Lord and Savior. I know that where I'm going after this is a much better place, but I will not allow evil to take over our community. I believe, in my heart of hearts, I believe that President Trump struggles with this. And if he didn't struggle with it, he wouldn't, he said it on the stage when Charlie Kirk died. He's like, I hate my enemies. He's like, I can't pray for them. I don't forgive them. And that was a moment by which you could see this eternal frustration of just how evil this thing was, that had taken from us what was never, had stolen the soul of our nation, killed this man, Charlie Kirk. And now the only people that are talking about it with any sort of substance is Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, right? And of what really is behind the curtain for that. So a part of me just feels like, I don't know why my gut says that President Trump is operating with restraint. Maybe that restraint is because he saw the dangers to his own family, but something tells me that he's at some point going to pull the last rug. And this is not a Q thing. It's not anything to do with that. It's that they're, because who comes behind him, Kyle? Come on. Who's going to be the Caesar? It's not going to be Rubio. It's not going to be.
Oh, I don't think it comes through an election, because I think I'm using your math. Yeah. I'm not trying to use it against you, but if we can agree that the elections aren't legit, then it's not going to be a vote. That's the whole point, I think. The reason why Caesar was able to step in and hold on to the dictatorship, America actually probably does need that, which is an awful thing to think, because we don't have a lot of faith in anybody doing that. There are people of scruple. There are people of character that will step up will take on an incredible burden and will lay that authority down and leave, like a sort of a Cincinnatus type idea. We don't,
Yeah.
That's what's required. Unfortunately, we've taken the term dictator and we've made it this evil thing, because what it comes down to is whatever the worst of human nature is, that somebody basically says, I now have access to all the things and I'll never give these things up. And there was a time, and it has been proven over and over again, the whole concept of the dictator was temporary. You got, maybe 6 months where you had unlimited power to go solve the problem, because it couldn't be done legislatively. It couldn't be done through gridlock or bureaucratic process. And so somebody came in and they slashed and they burned stuff. And they did all the, the cutting that needed to be done. It's like a, like a CEO coming in on a hostile takeover, and they just wrecked house, exile and execute anything that's in the way. So that was the way that it got done. And then they were like, okay, my job is done. I'm going to go back to my farm now. I don't want any of this shit. So the key is how do you get that reluctant leader who has the means and the ability and the wherewithal to go and destroy everything, who also doesn't want any of the things that they would take if they could have it, because that's not what their life is. And that's a person who has a certain moral conviction that, I don't need to be uber wealthy. I don't need to be a billionaire. And maybe that was the whole fault. We thought that somebody would come in there with FU money, which is what I've brought to you a number of times. When you put somebody into office with FU money, your thought is that they're going to say FU when someone brings them a counter proposal, that they don't have to say yes. And then you realize that the people with FU money that are out there they have a high burn rate and they have a very fancy lifestyle and they're not trying to lose it. And they may lose a ton by being in there. And I think Trump did that the first term. I think he actually lost net worth. I think he had some pretty serious consequences, and I don't think he liked it. And then he went like, well, I'm going to be Lord of the Ashes, but I'm going to be a Lord nonetheless. And so I'm going to go and profiteer and take things. And that's what it looks like. Does he maybe get a last gasp? Does he get to do the Darth Vader, where Darth Vader redeems himself at the end and does the good thing that nobody expects is there? But I will say that past performance tends to predict, future behaviors pretty well. So I don't have any guess in that. And you're by the way, you're but God, which I do agree with you on that 100%. The funny thing about that is there are centuries of humanity that suffered and died and had horrifically short, brutal lives.
Yes.
And, God had some other plan. It had nothing to do with what we thought it was going to be. So our version of but God equals in my time for my life, that would be good for me. And that is not what but God is about. So just to kind of expand out that concept, it's like, yeah, I do think so. But I don't think there's nothing that says America wins, that America is going to be a great place, that it has to continue as it does, that our children are going to have success in this land. Even though you and I want it desperately, and I think we would give up a lot for it, I don't think there's anything that guarantees that's the case, for whatever it's worth.
No, I think you're right. But
it's hard to accept that because you're a man who goes out there and causes things to be the way that you want them to be. And
Right.
I do the same in my own life. So you and I are people who say, there's a problem, I can affect the change, let me go do it.
And I'm used
The
to being
issue-
able to move boulders. I'm used to
Of
being able to
course.
move boulders. I'm used to being able to, we're building something right now, and I called up a friend of mine, and he goes, "Who's going to be running it?" And I was like, "Me." And he goes, "I'm in." And I go, "Okay, but I haven't told you how much money I need from you yet." And he's like, "I don't care." He says, "Send me a bill." And I was like, "Okay, I didn't tell you how much you'd get for that money." He goes, "Yeah, still don't care." But it's the idea that he knows that I have the ability to affect change based on pushing that boulder uphill. I will will it to that, right?
For sure.
I can't in this.
This is not a problem that is of a scale that you can affect.
I'm starting to get to the point where I'm okay with that. I'm also recognizing that a large number of people have taken advantage of me and used me over the last 6 years in a way that makes me feel like I've been a prostitute of sorts. That, yeah, I'm solving problems and doing things, and people take credit for it, and I get out there and I fight, and people are like, "Oh, let Joe fight." Yeah, and they're standing back like here, like going, "Oh."
Yeah, if he
You see that?
falls,
Oh,
no loss from our end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like it's a bummer. You
Next.
know what's fun about that, Joe? Because I've watched it from the backside here, just in my own little way, just as your friend. And at one point, you and I had a conversation about why I didn't want to be in a business with you, and part of it was because I don't want to be part of whatever I've seen other people do. I don't want to owe you anything. I just want to be your friendship.
painful.
So you can, you can call me up and tell me that you're mad about someone screwing you over, and I go, yeah, I'm also mad at them, and I have no allegiance to them. I got no interest in them at all. I just care what's good for you. So we have that, kind of thing. But that submission to knowing that you don't have the scale you don't have the ability or the reach to affect the thing that you would like to see done, even if you can see the solution. And the odds are you and I probably can't see the scope of the problem. I think probably people that are in larger positions of power and have more read into whatever it looks like, they've got even worse. And it probably looks even worse from there. Maybe we could still find the answer, but I bet you it looks a lot worse than we think it does. If I had to just guess. Okay, but even that being the case, we don't have that ability. No one asked us to put that in. So here we are, a couple of guys that are just like mixing it up, frustrated with the status quo as it is. And that submission to saying, you know what, this problem, not only is it bigger than I can handle, but it might not even be my burden to deal with. So I've actually taken this the other direction. And I don't know if have I talked to you about my Fs?
No.
I've done this kind of retrospective because I get people complain to me all the time. They're like, you got nothing but bitching about what's going on and you got no solutions. And I went, you're right. Allow me to digest this and allow me to come back with a solution. So my solution is the problem is bigger than I can solve. And it may not be a solvable problem. It may just be a question of time. And I think that may be the case. That's my guess is that you and I don't fix election security and it doesn't get done on its own. And we can bitch about it all we like. And the people that are running it are benefiting from the system. The parties benefit. Certain people stay wealthy on it. So, okay, fine. So what can I do? What's my job then? What's my purpose? And mine came down to a series of Fs. And so they started off as 4 Fs. They've grown into 5. And I think there's an optional 6th F that is good. So we've got 6-ish Fs. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The first one is faith, which is the hardest. And it's the most important that you have to put up front. Mm-hmm. And so that's hard, especially for men who are used to being creatures of action, to be creatures of trust and weight. But that is what's required. So working on that is a very big chunk of your full-time job. Yeah. The second thing is family, which I think falls in there. God, family, right? And then they say country. So we'll do it in that order. Family is number 2 for the Fs. And solidifying your family, financially maintaining the system of your family, educating them for the future, insulating them and making them resilient against problems that are coming that you know are coming and you can't stop. So that's important. Number 3 is fitness, because you can individually affect your own fitness at a level you can't pretty much affect any other system. You have all the control of the inputs, most of the outputs, and you can also control the activity as long as you will it so. So fitness being the number 3. Firearms is number 4. We'll both get along on that one. We like to be able to shoot. That's the ability to ward off externals. And to the level that we're able to do so, we do so independently in our space. Yeah, I saw that. So there's our number 4. And number 5 is farming or food security. And so how do you solve the individual needs that you have there? And that means maybe you're growing on a piece of land, or maybe it means that you're just storing up and canning what you can from the grocery store and making those last, etc. But those are your 5 needs. And then the last one, which I think is kind of the indispensable, and I shared this with a friend of mine, just got out of the intelligence services. And I said, the last one is funny. You have to be able to laugh about the gallows situation that we're in. And you should be able to make like some pretty inappropriate jokes about the situation and how dire it is. Because every time I've been in a shit situation, when I was in the military, when I was broke as a joke, whatever it looked like, if I was sick as a dog and I thought I was going to die, and there's always some really, really hilariously dark comedy that comes out of that. And so a sense of humor being maintained is important. So funny. Those are the 6 Fs. And you can affect literally all of those on your own. You can do those. They have nothing to do with President Trump or the voting system or a shitty governor candidate. And I thought you were going to be the governor, so I was going to be moving to Colorado to get rid of the communism with you. But no, you're not going to. So all of the things that we can't affect that are at bigger levels, we can't even get our city council to stop. Like I can't even get my freaking city council to put in a fucking stoplight outside of my neighborhood. And people get hit there by other Indian drivers every single month. We would pay for it by just putting it up in insurance bills and ambulance costs, but we don't do it. So I can't even get a stop sign where a stop sign ought to be, and it would be $800. So if I can't get a stop sign outside of my neighborhood, like where I drive out to go to the grocery store, how on earth am I going to fix the American voting system? And so I just go, okay, well, I can fix these 6 things, and I will. I'll work on them all the time, and I do.
The problem solver in me goes. By the way, those Fs are all written down now. I think everyone needs to take from those the thing. The funny one, by the way, is the thing that I go to the most, because I like to crack jokes, even in the middle of like things that are going really badly.
Remind me in a minute to tell what happened when we went to the when you and I went to that Office Depot or whatever, and that rando guy came up to ask about the Cybertruck, just because I think people will get a kick out of it.
Hilarious. That was hilarious. All right,
knowing that you were involved in something serious and then just deciding to just screw with you in a way that you couldn't stop me.
And it was fun. It was great. But the guy was
it's one of my favorite stories. Listen, this is my favorite. So one of my favorite ways to have fun, and it's not very nice, probably.
Yeah.
But I like to have somebody else experience something that they weren't ready for. I lay out something that is absolutely hilarious and they don't know what to do with it. And the joke is I get to go and wonder what he thought forever and never know what the outcome was.
It's like people watching and creating a story. Let me tell you a story about that guy.
Well, yeah. I created the story for that guy and then he walked off with it. And now you and I don't know what the outcome was, but it can only be funny.
Yeah, because he doesn't know it. He's going to go home and be like,
Short little version of this. I was taking my daughters. This is part of my family, the fitness, the firearms thing. I have night vision that I bought. I did some investment in that. It was super expensive and stupid for most people. Doesn't make sense. And I also have a night vision monocle, and a helmet that's like an airsoft helmet from my little kids. So I'm taking my 5-year-old, and I was taking my 7-year-old, and now my 9-year-old. I'm taking them out for walks in the dark because it's a thing to know how to walk under night vision.
Yeah,
it's not natural. So I took my girls, and there was a night, which was in December of last year, and we're walking. It's near Christmas, and I was
on the phone with you.
I don't think we were, because I wasn't talking to anybody at this point. I just was scaring the shit out of this poor guy.
But I was on the phone with you right after you did this.
Oh yeah. We talked after this. So I put on a helmet. Okay, it's a multicam helmet with like a 10K white phosphorus, high spec night vision. And it's got the battery pack in the back. It's all balanced out. It's got ear pro sitting on here and all the things. It's got all this stuff. And I got a rifle slung, and I tucked it underneath my hoodie, because I'm not trying to use it. I just don't like going in the dark if there's things out in the dark. And I got my 7-year-old daughter, who just turned 7, and she's wearing a sparkly unicorn jacket because she's a little girl, and she's got this freaking black, Ops Corps helmet on with a single PVS 14 night vision goggle, whatever tube. And we go walking out in the dark behind the house into the fields, like through the pond and stuff like this. We're out in the area, and we walked up to this one area, and when we turned around, we're walking back, and there's only one way back. And somebody had kind of like cornered us there on accident. They didn't know we were there because we're moving really silently in the dark with no lights. And this guy's got a flashlight, and he's got a dog, and he's walking the dog around the pond, and he flips the light up, and the auto gates like dim the night vision real quick. And he sees 2 psychopaths, a 7-year-old psychopath wearing a sparkly unicorn jacket, and a psychopath wearing a black hoodie with a rifle and this freaking insane helmet with like dual eyes. And then he immediately puts the flashlight back down to his feet. And so he's just illuminating where he is. And of course, he looks like he's bright as day to me because he's got a light that's illuminating his legs, and the dog is looking like, what the F? And so they're both freaking out. And I said, "Good evening, sir," because I didn't know what else to say, because I knew how weird it was. And he didn't say a word. He just looked at his feet and was like, oh my God, I hope this weird guy doesn't kill me. But also, what did I just see? Because I know he just saw the daughter too, which must have been, and we're holding hands. So he's got to be out of his mind wondering what the hell's going on. And then we just walked past him in the darkness, and he kept the flashlight very close, and he looked down, and we walked off into the field away from him, and I never saw him again.
He moved away. I just want you to know, he put a thing on Neighbors.
I think he was visiting. He was probably, this is the story that I've created. He was visiting family members in my neighborhood, and he went home, and he started packing his suitcase. He was like, "We got to go. We've got I don't know what's happening right now, but this place is not okay. We got to get out of here.
This is Texas. Oh my gosh.
I'm never coming back to Texas." Yeah. He was visiting from California. He was seeing his family that had just moved out there. He's like, "You guys got to go." He's like stuffed a suitcase, and then he went and he caught the next flight smoking out of there, and he never came back, because what do you do when you see that? Anyway, I just like that. I like those little moments, and that makes me kind of laugh, and it does make me smile. And that's all the things, right? The odds of that guy being there, the family part of it. I'm carrying a firearm. I'm working, I'm fit enough to go walk around in the dark with my kiddos. So I'm doing all those things, and then they're absolutely hilariously silly. And I can look at that and go, the world's not all that bad. I don't walk around dwelling on sadness.
It really isn't all that bad. Even where we are.
The system is atrocious, but individually, we're in the eye of the storm and who knows how long the eye will last. It could last for 100 years. I don't think it will. I don't think it's gonna. It could.
I think we're pretty close. It's escalating.
I think it did last for 100 years, for whatever it's worth. I think we're at the end of it. But I don't know. It could go for another 100, Joe. We could have
So,
a technological disruption. So
I have some pretty cool stuff that I want to go over with you that I think is funny. One of which is we have some retards in the state of Colorado that run things. And you know that we have this new thing where you have to take a 12-hour class in order to own an AR. And they have a ban list. 12-hour class.
I thought you were going
And
to
it
fix
has
it as
to
governor.
happen. It has to happen over 2 days, right? And
It's
so
12 hours.
12 hours. Yeah. So it
Yeah.
has to happen over 2 days. Well, so we decided we were going to wreck it, Ralph. So we built a class that starts at 12:30 in the morning. It ends at 12:30 at night. It's over 2 days, technically. We hand them their certificate. We cook hamburgers and hot dogs, and we dance through the night because it's basically the curriculum's like 6 hours, like 5 hours. And it's
But
like
you have to
6 or
be
7
there for a
12
super
hours.
long
You
time.
have to, it has to be 12 hours,
Yeah.
right? Even though you can
Yeah.
knock it out in 2 hours and take the test and do all that stuff. So it's 12 hours. So we decided we're going to wreck it, Ralph. Well, there's no rule that says that you can't actually have it go until 12:30 at night. So we were like, we're going to sit around a bonfire and we're going to have 50 people just tell stories in the last 2 hours. And then at 12:01, we're going to do all the search to make sure everybody gets their stuff and send them out. But
I like it.
I want to show you this. I'm going to take a quick commercial break because I have to do a commercial break. When we come back from these, we'll play 3 commercials. That'll give me a chance to go to the man's room. But I want to show you what they put on the ban list. These are retarded people. These are people that have no business being in any position of trust and authority. And it shows you just how retarded they are. I mean, literally, like super retarded. So we'll be right back. Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter.
Oh, hi. I almost didn't see you there. Welcome to DCF Buns, where you can find the freshest buns in town, if I do say so myself. Our master bakers teach class every week. So whether you're new to baking or trying to improve your culinary skills, we got you covered. And we can help you bake the cake of your dreams. We'll even clean your cake if you want. And if you don't want to bake anything yourself, we have loads of fresh buns available in a variety of shapes and sizes. Check us out at dcfbuns.com to learn more. DCF Buns, we keep the buns hot and the deals hotter. Buns.
So we have
I like seeing Joe with the buns, by the way.
DCF Buns.
Yeah.
Here's the Department of Revenue website. I want to show you this. This is a USAS 12. It's a shotgun that is appearing as fully automatic in the Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and a semi-automatic in Call of Duty Black Ops 6. These are actually the photos. If you want to see the other photo of it, this is the photo right here.
They just pulled it straight out of the wiki.
They literally pulled it out of a Call of Duty deal, and they said that it's banned. Now, here's here's what I want you to know. It's not available. It doesn't. So I'm the 12-hour class. I'm here to tell everyone that the Colorado 12-hour class applies to if you play Call of Duty now. And if you play that game and you use that gun, they are going to break down your door and they're going to charge you with a felony because you're actually using a weapon of war that they have banned on their website.
Right, but you've only used it digitally, so that's confusing.
But there is the digital thing where you're not allowed to do things digitally either. So you got to play both sides of this.
That's retarded.
It is retarded. It's very retarded.
I think that people should invest in maybe a Genesis shotgun. They seem pretty legit. And if you wanted to get a fully automatic or FRT'd shotgun, they seem like they're the way to go from what I've seen. I don't own one, but I feel like I should soon.
I would agree. I would agree with you. So we were talking about some other things. Got a bunch of stuff that I want to go over with you. I think we pretty much said, and people are saying, I want to see the hope.
I didn't pull the chat up. What's the chat look?
The chat's pretty good on two sides. It depends on which chat you're talking about here. There's like 3 different chats that I'm monitoring. So let's say that, by the way, we're on Roku now. So I want to say hi to everybody on Roku. Seems like everybody's wanting to watch us on TV. It's kind of weird to be on TV, but I guess that's
I don't like to be that big.
It's a big head. Yeah.
So I had a bunch of people complaining on my morning podcast. A lot of people watch us on YouTube. I stream out in 4K, and so it pops up on the screen in 4K, which is a weird thing to think that people are watching me on their television. And I just don't think about it. That's the easiest way to do it. And I started getting these comments that people are like, "Your beard is shaggy. Like, you need to clean your beard. You need to cut your beard." And I sat there and I got maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks worth of comments, and then I finally had to address it because it was a lot of them. And I just went, "You're not married to me, and I don't care. Scold somebody else. I don't care what you think about it." Like, guards, this woman has lost her composure.
Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you stopping by and telling me that I need a new beard, but I like my beard exactly the way it is. Doesn't make me talk.
Yeah, there's literally one person. There's one person who has input on it, and she's got a lot of weight. She's got like a 51% vote. If she was like, "Hey, it's too much," then it would be fixed. But she's like, "No, I don't care." And I went, "All right. Well, you've been made aware of the problem that other people think exists, and you've dismissed it as non-problem. So I also dismiss it." So now my answer to everyone is like, "Go." I love this. I'm like, go scold someone else. Scold someone else. I don't know why you think that you should scold a complete stranger. I didn't know you before. Your opinion about my appearance is noted and ignored. And you know who I say that to, because Owen Schroyer's going through this right now. I don't know if you've seen Owen Schroyer on X. But he did something with his hair where it was a natural color, and then he bleached it blonde. And it may or may not have involved it may have not involved a decision that he made on his own. This may have been like something that, like the waking up with a dick drawn on your forehead because your friends are such lovely people that they let you fall asleep and then draw something on you. I don't know if he actually did it. So now he's got this crazy hair color. And the answer to me is always like, "Are you sleeping with Owen Schroyer? Do you have some vested interest in his physical attractiveness?" They don't. Well, they always make the excuses is that I don't like what you're saying about Donald Trump, so now I'm going to be mean to you about the way you look. And it's like, let's just address things as they are. Can we just do that? Can we have like a little bit of good faith argument that the things he's saying are the same things that I'm saying, which is the same things you're saying, that as far as diagnosing the problem, and he's just like, "Hey, can we fix it?" People always want to go to the thing they can do. I'll tell you another version of this. I pointed out to people that I bought an electric lawnmower, which is really funny to me, Joe. I've got more commentary.
Lawnmower?
What's that?
You bought an electric lawnmower?
I bought an electric lawnmower. It's battery powered. Hear me out, because I'm about to change your mind. And you know I'm going to do it because this is the way it works. I bought an electric lawnmower, and it is the most commented on thing that I've ever said out loud on my podcast.
And it should be.
By a lot. And it's not even close. So if you're like, what was the most common thing that was ever talked about? The electric lawnmower. It's a daily topic in the chat in the morning. It's a daily commentary of people like, "Go get your fucking purse, man, like you nerd," whatever. And like all this stuff. It's like not nice people saying not nice things about my electric lawnmower that they don't have to use, by the way. They don't have to use it. They didn't spend any money on it. It doesn't bother them at all, but they have thoughts about it. And the reason is because the more mundane the topic and the more universally that we can weigh in and the opinion means nothing whatsoever, the more likely we are to have one, because there's no responsibility involved in, "I care about your lawnmower." Right. Now I'm going to convince you that the electric lawnmower is the right answer. Are you ready? Now, if you have a huge property and you got to have a riding mower, it's different. But if you're a push mower, self-driven mower kind of guy, your grandfather made fun of your father for buying a gas-powered mower and called him a pussy.
Yes.
Period. Like, that's a fact for all of us. Yes. That's what happened.
Yeah.
The masculine, manly men who say, "Well, it's got to be gas powered." All I'm saying is you're a dinosaur. You're in the past. I have a lawnmower that requires no fuel, no oil, stands upright and folds into a little compact thing. It has rechargeable batteries that'll do the entirety of what it is. And one set of batteries will work on my weed whacker. It works on my blower and it works on my mower. I've got headlights that are built into my freaking mower and my wife can move it around. It weighs nothing. And it doesn't make extra noise and it's not smelly and it can be stored in places without leaving any kind of fumes or anything else. The electric lawnmower is superior in every single way. And it is the thing that people one day will also be like, well, back in my day, we had a battery mower. You're riding on this freaking robotic hovercraft thingy. There'll be another version of it where people will do it again. This is the way of the world.
I don't know how much
The more
further you can
inventive
go,
technology. This is, robots. George Hill already has one. They dock and stuff like that. They're on tank treads, which is epically strong. Tank tread.
Really?
Tank tread robot.
Are you talking about the thing I saw on Temu? That's not real, is it?
No, he has a robot that he did a LiDAR map of his property and it rolls around up and down hills and it mows the entire property and it goes into its own little housing unit where it recharges.
All right,
And,
what is this? It's a mower.
It's a robot mower. It's a rower. It's a robot
mower.
Yeah.
Dream LiDAR?
That sounds right. Is that what it is?
$2,400?
What is it? 2,400? Yeah, that sounds about right. It's like $2,000, $3,000, somewhere in that range.
And it's an EcoMaster, and it basically just does it for you.
Yeah.
Robot lawnmower, all-wheel drive, wire-free, no RTK, four-wheel drive, 38% slopes, cutting 15.8 inch width, half controlled for 0.62 acres. So they have it for acreage. Interesting.
Yeah. I think George has 1 acre and he's got his running, and I think his is actually on treads. So there's other varieties of those things out there. Just saying that's the next thing, but mine's pretty good.
Well, if it's on treads, I don't see one that's on treads.
They're out there.
I think that's the one I saw on Temu.
Yeah, I've seen this thing on Temu that has like the grinder in the front and it's like
Just
it looks cool, but
I
don't trust anything from Temu. I think it's going to spy on us and kill us in our sleep.
Okay, so what is the deal with Temu? Just so we're clear.
I don't know. I think they're just an intellectual property knockoff. I think they're some sort of Chinese app that is allowing them all kinds of crazy access to your information and probably bugging your house with your phone. Because you have to have the app, right, to buy it. You can't buy it on the website.
I think you buy it on the website.
Does the website work?
It does for me. I'm on Temu right now.
I bought nothing from Temu ever.
So Temu is it truly is like it says looks like DeWalt, and it has a thing that looks like DeWalt, but it's not DeWalt. This is just strange.
Robot lawnmower.
All right. So
you have to have a login. I don't have a login. I'm not giving him any of my stuff through Temu. All right. Anyway.
So I won't buy from Amazon. Like Amazon shows up at my house. I'm like, you got lost on the way here.
You're doing it the wrong way. So I buy stuff from Amazon, then I return it. And then I buy it again, and then I return it a lot.
Do you really? You don't do that.
Ever since they screwed with Amy Nelson, I regularly order things just like, I'll be like, oh, I only need this one thing. So I'll order that one thing and I'll order like 8 other things so that I get like shipping in the next 20 minutes or whatever it is. And they show up in an hour and then I just return all that stuff all the time.
Oh, you do? And there's no penalties or anything for returning it?
No.
That's a brilliant idea. Just tell my wife.
Huh? Yeah, I mean, I think they do some evil stuff. It's probably not awesome. I mean, I'm not hurting the product. I just give it back to them. But I just make them, since the only thing that Amazon is really providing of the deal is the delivery part of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So,
I mean, they're holding on to my money for like 24 hours or 48 hours, whatever, but it's on a credit card. Doesn't bother me.
Doesn't bother me either. Okay, so check this out.
None. Okay.
President Trump directed Acting DNI Bill Pulte to declassify all documents related to the 2020 presidential election to prove it was rigged. This just happened, right? In addition to that, Tulsi Gabbard, and this is where I get back to being white-pilled. So I'm going to take you through this a little bit. Tulsi Gabbard, go ahead and put it up. If she's right, this could be the biggest political scandals in modern history. And Tulsi Gabbard laid out what she says is the key findings of the House Intelligence Committee report into the 2017 Intelligence Community Assessment on Russia.
Look who you're reading from, though, buddy.
No, listen to me real quick.
No, look who you're reading from. That's a BS source. That's an info op source.
No, just follow me.
I listened to what she did. I listened to her say it. I just
Go
the guy
down
that
to
you're
the
quoting
video.
there,
Go down to
Jim
the video.
Ferguson. Okay, go ahead.
Right. So look, take the source, put it away. By the way, you could have gotten this. I asked them to pull this up. You could have gotten it from any number of other places. Matter of fact, I think this is a copy and paste from that.
I know. Here's what I want you to do.
What?
Find out when her statements, after we watch the video, find out when they originally ran.
In 2025, December 2025. Right.
So,
look, there's a reason why I'm bringing that up, because
okay, if you can't get things moving in 6 months,
you should be able to get things moving in 6 months. But,
you would have gotten it moving in 6 days.
I would have gotten it in 6 hours. It would have been
That's
done.
what I'm saying.
I would have sent the cavalry out.
I'm assuming that you would have had I'm assuming you would have had COVID and you were so sick that it took you 6 days. But we're now 6 months in. So anyway, the speed of government is intentionally running the clock out, and that's because the system serves itself.
Because it's a self-licking ice cream cone.
Yeah, because you can't vote your way out of this stuff.
But you can if we actually give back our system. If we're giving back our
but you got but there's a vested. You're asking the system to fix the system and give it back to the people that are supposed to run the system. And the system doesn't do that. The system is what it does. And what it does is it centralizes power. It grows its own capabilities, and it does so at the cost of the things that it should be doing, which is, protecting the American public from force and fraud. That's the purpose of the government. It's got a goal. It's just not, they've changed the goal. The goal of the government now is to preserve the government.
No question. But I will say this: if you listen to what she said,
you can play. Hold on, play the. I'll watch the video. I'm happy to. I've seen it, but we can play it.
So just so you know, I mean, everything that he said before, he basically copied and pasted from another source. He put it out there. It came out today. If you look back at the 6 months and you go back and look at those 6 months, Pam Bondi was let go, right? Basically dismissed. That was in February, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the
what's been the change, you think?
Well, I think that President Trump in 2025 had so many people trying to slow him down, because he came out of the gate just punching, right? He's like, okay, we have Doge over here, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And the frustration started to mount. Who did it mount against? Who did the apparatus then pit against each other in the first 6 months of the administration?
You tell me.
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Elon Musk. And
that's what they went at. That's where they focused their energy on resisting, you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. And so they
I thought you were saying what part of the administration was running interference against the administration.
And look, Elon Musk is, he took a bunch of hits, and he had people within his organization that were taking hits, and they were burning down Teslas and doing all this stuff. And so this terroristic group inside of our country, of which, by the way, 5 or 6 of them just got sentenced to anywhere between 2 years and 50 years down in Texas for sitting in front of an ICE facility. That just happened.
Yeah. 50 years for pulling a trigger and killing somebody.
I'm sorry?
They were the ones there was one of them that killed the ICE officer.
Yeah. But they said it was just for protesting, right? Yeah, 50 years for protesting.
There was it 50 years for protesting specifically? No, I thought it was because it was contributing to the conspiracy to murder federal agents.
Correct. But one of the people that they say pulled the trigger only got 20 years. So, but my point is that you have an apparatus that basically is largely controlled by a media apparatus, which is controlled by the CIA. So the CIA, which is, by the way, subverted the sovereignty of nations around the world. You'd be hard pressed not to think that they're still doing it. President Trump cut off USAID. Doge came in and turned off computers that were hidden in corners that had the ability to send billions of dollars by the minute if they wanted to, with unchecked ability to spend money, right? It was like a free-for-all. You want to send money to this nonprofit, or this not, just push a button. Boop, boop. So they were able to confiscate that stuff. Because he did that, the apparatus fought back with the only thing that they had, which is the media apparatus, in order to convince the public that President Trump is a bad guy, and that Elon Musk is a bad guy, and that all these people are trying to do is subvert democracy. And you had this parroting thing that happened. Everyone was passed out their script. Here's your script, here's your script, here's your script. Get out there and tell them that the Republicans are basically trying to kill poor people, right? Kill Americans. And that narrative started to take hold, right? In the middle of all this, they're plugging along, getting stuff done. There's been several key indictments. You had a bunch of grand juries that were happening in the middle district of Florida, some in Georgia, and then you had Tulsi Gabbard herself that went into Georgia when they confiscated all the equipment and all of the election votes, the paper for the 2020 election in Georgia. Correct?
Mm-hmm. I'm listening.
So now we get to the place where 6 months later, we at least got Pam Bondi out of the way. Todd Blanche is supposedly actually working to your benefit. The narrative is that Todd Blanche is the one standing in the way of everything. And yet you start to see the wheels start to turn a little bit faster. I'm not saying that the FBI is doing anything that would be remotely good for getting to the bottom of this. They've been notoriously over the last 5 decades of being super slow at any sort of indictment and or prosecution. But as you start seeing all of this stuff play out, you start to get this idea that maybe over the next 30 to 45 days, there's going to be an executive order. There's going to be some of the things that we thought would happen 5 months ago, that finally we're getting to the place where we've got enough of the hair out of the way that we can actually have a competent jurisdiction or competent court that is likely to fix it, or at least open up the door. You're still at no.
I'm still at no. No. I mean, they put in Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche could have settled our court case. We were in settlement discussions with the DOJ prior to Pam Bondi being removed, and we're still in the same spot, and we haven't heard from them at all. And this is just about simple stuff, which is that there was some injustices related to COVID. Those are old problems at this point. It's an old case. I've got them dead to rights that they violated federal law and employment, and we've gone nowhere with that. And if they were really doing it, you wouldn't have had ODNI down there doing the investigation. You wouldn't have had Tulsi Gabbard come out and tell you what the problem was. See, here's the problem that I keep seeing with the Trump administration is it's a repeated problem. The announcement that there is a problem is their action. Like, that's the result. The result is the headline. The result is we've discovered a problem, not we're fixing the problem. And by the way, here it is. If they were serious about it, and I just got off talking to Alex Jones about the same thing. We just finished having this discussion. When you hear the announcement that they've opened up an investigation, that should be the end of it for you, unfortunately, because you know they're not going to do anything more than open up an investigation. Name a opened up an investigation announcements you've ever heard of on a serious criminal case, on a serious, matter of public urgency. What you hear is 15 people were just handcuffed and walked out of the fill in the blank building. That's when there's action. If you announce that there's a probe or there's an inquiry or there's an investigation or God forbid there's a House hearing or a Senate conference, Senate hearing of some kind, that's the death knell of any kind of action. And that's just my observation on seeing it. And I'm happy to be found out wrong at some point in the future. I'm happy to be proven that I'm inaccurate. But overwhelmingly, as someone who's watched this every single day for every waking hour, I literally am just scrolling through this crap on a regular basis. This is kind of what I do. And I don't see any proof that that is not happening. The announcement is the result. And that's the worst thing that you can have is, basically it's the old state of Missouri, right? What's the motto of Missouri?
Show me.
The show me state.
Show me state.
Yeah. So don't tell me, show me. And if you want to show me, then show me. And it's like, I don't need any announcements. I already know that Anthony Fauci was a dirtbag doing a bunch of scandalous stuff. I understand that they took a bunch of American taxpayer dollars, used it to fund evil shit, and then came back and people died because of it. I believe that already. I already believed it. You didn't need to convince me. I didn't need Tulsi Gabbard on her last day walking out the door saying that. And by the way, she's gone. So her video of her saying it, I had friends that work. I have at least a friend that worked directly in the group that was doing the work that we think should be done. And he just retired. He said it's not happening. The system won on that fight, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, you see the things that are happening.
Play the video. Come on, Joe. Play the video.
Oh, you want to play the video? You got the video ready, guys? It's on that deal. You can just pull the video up. It's on that post. All right. In the meantime, I want to put this up. This is Minnesota Governor pardons. I want to get your thoughts on this. This is the Minnesota governor that pardoned a illegal who is a child predator.
Good.
So this guy, he's convicted of sexually assaulting a 10-year-old.
Yep.
And then he called you've seen the Citizen Vigilante, correct?
I haven't seen the movie. I'm aware of what it is. I've seen the trailers and stuff and some scenes.
Watch it by yourself. Kids can't watch it. He called his actions a cultural thing. Democrats just condoned pedophilia, but we've known they've done that.
Mm-hmm.
This Tu Lei Vang was set to be removed from the country imminently after his pardon was announced. And now the pardon could thwart his removal from the United States, but he's here illegally, so he can actually still be thrown out. So according to the filings, though, he sexually assaulted a girl between 2002 and 2004. On one occasion, he tried to offer the victim $10 to keep quiet about the sexual assaults. While being interviewed by police, he tried to justify his actions by saying that for him, it is a cultural thing to marry and have sex with girls as young as 12. He also claimed that the victim was just as guilty as him and should be arrested. Tim Walz's decision to pardon illegal convicted rapists so he can remain in our country is disgusting. And there's the pedophile right there. How is it even something that would make let's say we have the top 20 list that President Trump has of things to get done. Let's say you have a top 50 or 100 list for a state like Minnesota. Crime is through the roof. And he decides, you know what? This is on my bucket list. I need to pardon this pedophile so he can stay in the country.
What I don't hear is father of sexually assaulted girl executes dipshit predator who was just pardoned by the governor.
Yeah. Why?
Sorry, I came home the other day. Little kind of unrelated personal story in some ways, but it's the mindset that I don't think is there right now. But I want my kids to know that this is the mindset this is the father that they are growing up under, for better or for worse. My wife who did she take? One of my daughters. Yeah, I think one of my daughters. Took one of my daughters, went and had some coffee, sitting at a coffee shop. On the way back home, they were driving past our old neighborhood, and my father-in-law had sent a package for one of my daughter's birthdays to the old neighborhood house, which we haven't been in 18 months because he's not paying attention to anything, doesn't know what we're up to. Father-in-law thing. So my wife decides she's going to swing by, sends me a text message. I'm going to swing by the old house and see if they happen to have this package. And what we know about the old house is that there is apparently like a single man living there and maybe a man with like his teenage or adult son. And that's all we know. So I don't know anything about these people. I've never met them. I've never gone back by. I don't have any reason. She stops by. We're on Find My Friends kind of thing. So my wife and I share. Obviously, the Chinese can see it too, but we can see where each other are in real time. And that's helpful all the time. You know, is she at Costco? Cool. I'll go straight to Costco. I won't stop at the house, whatever. We have the kind of tracking thing. So she goes, I look at her app and she's basically right there at the house. And it looks like she's walking around. And this is probably because of the pinging of the Wi-Fi and pinging of the cell phone towers. It's not giving like a great, 100% accurate, but it looks like she's maybe walking around the house, like looking, seeing if somebody's there, this kind of thing. She's there for like 15 minutes. I start getting concerned. I text her like, hey, everything good? Just checking in, make sure everything's fine. I get no answer. This goes on to, it ends up being about a total of 30 minutes. But at the 15-minute mark, I put on pants. I put on my gun belt. I threw a rifle into a backpack. I added a couple of magazines into the pockets. And I'm like, okay, she's going to either respond shortly or I'm going to get into a truck and I'm going to drive the 10 minutes down. I'm going to go just check it out for myself. And if she's there and everything's fine, then I just drive away and then no big deal. And if somebody needs to be executed, then I'm going to kick down a door and I'm going to take somebody out. So like I'm putting on heavier boots, like I'm getting my stuff, like I'm going to go do a freaking door assault at some freaking guy's house. Because maybe, for all I know, my wife and daughter are being held captive by some random dude. And it's not likely, but it's a possibility. And I'd rather go be safe than sorry. Because I was like, am I going to be the psycho? Would I rather be the guy that finds out that somebody grabbed my wife and I could have done something? I'm just going to drive. So I send my other kids upstairs. I tell them to close the door and watch TV. And so I leave my kids at home. And I drove across town 9 minutes to the other side. And I drive right past. And right as I'm driving past, my wife happens to look out the window and she's at our neighbor's house that we don't always talk to. And she looked out, saw me, was trying to find a way to leave the neighbor's house anyway. And she was like, oh, I think it's my husband. I got to go. And she texted me, did you just drive by? And I said, yes, I was just checking in on you. And she said, we're about to leave. I said, no problem. And so I'm driving back and she's totally worried that I'm going to be, mad at her or something like that because My wife has these illogical ideas that I'm going to be angry. It's like, no, I'm just worried. And now I'm not worried. I know you're okay.
Yeah.
So it's no big deal. I would rather be safe than sorry. So I turn my truck, I drive home, we get there, we come out, and she goes, were you upset? And I go, no. I said, I just thought if you weren't going to answer, I was going to go make sure you're okay. That's it. And I just want you to know, I will always come for you. And I look at my daughter and she's looking over here and she's kind of like amused. And I said, honey, I'll always come for you no matter what. And I go like this, and I do the rifle hands. and she goes, what's that? And my wife goes, your father is telling you that he'll shoot and kill people for you. Because my wife knows what's up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it means.
You've already made the decision. You've already made it.
Yeah, I've already pulled the trigger. It just depends on if the target ever presents itself. Mentally,
right.
that bullet is fired. So the question is, where are the fathers? Where are the uncles? Where are the friends of the fathers and uncles? If you called me up and told me that it needed to be done, like it's like the whose car is it? Are we taking? I already made that decision. And to the point where it may actually damn my soul, Joe. I don't know why I'm built the way that I am, but that's the mindset I have. And I don't think I'm overcoming that. If somebody takes a person from my little tribe and wants to do some evil thing, I'm going to make sure they can't do that again. And I understand that's the opposite of what law enforcement is. But I told my friends a long time ago when I was even in the Bureau, you remember that scene in Shaft where he takes the badge and he throws it as hard as he can as it sticks into the thing of the courtroom? It's like, there's no badge that stops me from going and helping one of my friends who has a kid that's being taken or enacts this in the way that it needs to be. Like, we can't afford to have a society that the justice system, if it chooses not to act, that doesn't relieve us of the responsibility of acting in that case. So there's a reason why the citizen vigilante bullshit movie, which is bullshit, and the scenes I saw were silly. They're like gratuitously fun because it's like it's glorifying something. And at the end of the guy was kind of a psychopath anyway, was he not? I've read enough of the reviews on it.
Listen, he was a psychopath. There was two sides of it that were actually presented, right? So I don't know if he was a psychopath. Here's what I know. He came from the United States. He went overseas. The backstory of it still hasn't been really all that related, but he basically is fighting for people that can't fight for themselves, and he sees justice as black and white. So you could say he's a little bit of an autist, right? That he's probably got some sort of,
processing disorder.
Yeah, I mean, he can't process the fact
socialization
that he wiped out an entire family. But his barometer for good and evil are there very simply, right? And so what basically the movie is about, if you want to just sum it up, is that you have an individual that sees things by the good or bad. Is this evil or is this not evil?
Mm-hmm.
And he's come to the conclusion that there is bad people doing things to good people and getting away with it. And then good people are basically not going after the bad people because they're afraid of the repercussions of the laws by which they're going to adhere to. So it's normal. This is a normal societal problem that evil is basically
the current issue.
Right.
Yeah, the current issue is the people who abide by the rules. Here's the crazy. Ready for this?
Yeah.
Based on this 14th Amendment thing, there was a question on Grok the other day that somebody pointed out. If you're a diplomat and you come to the United States with a pregnant wife and your wife has a baby here and you're a diplomat, then that baby is not a U.S. citizen. But if you are a person from Mexico flying to Canada and you give birth on a plane over U.S. airspace, you now have a U.S. citizen on that plane. That's true.
Not real.
That's true. Yep. It's actually determined that's a U.S. special maritime jurisdiction and or airspace. And so that actually will grant you citizenship, as insane as that is.
That's not just insane. That's ridiculously insane.
Of course it is. But it's just as crazy as someone like stepping over the Bridge of the Americas or whatever it's called in, is that what it's called? Bridge of America? In El Paso, going from Juarez into El Paso. And now you have an American citizen that's on the side of the, it's equally as insane, to be fair. So the people that abide by the rules are governed by the rules. The people that have ignored the rules do not have to obey the rules. That's the mentality of how silly those two scenarios are. And it's exactly the same problem you said, except it's about people actively doing evil instead of maybe doing fraud. It's the force thing. We're talking about sexual abuse. We're talking about, violence and, assaults and murder. So where are the uncles? Where are the fathers? Where are the brothers of the fathers? Where are the men that are meant to step into this place? Because we can't tolerate it. That's what it comes down to. My friend group is not likely to be in this victim group, by the way, it turns out. The problem I have with the citizen vigilante is he's got no skin in the game. That's where it gets weird.
Well, yes and no, but I mean, it depends on. You've probably seen the one where he shoots the people with the gun, right?
Where he shoots all the people, the whole Muslim family. Yeah.
Yeah.
Says you're raising a shitty culture. I mean, it feels kind of cathartic in a Hollywood way.
But set that aside. That wasn't the most important setting of the movie. The most important setting is that he gave the police and the judiciary the opportunity to do the right thing. And then they made him the enemy. And so there's a story and a story and a story. One, he takes care of the young kids that basically went out and beat up a little kid on the pathway. He told him not to. He gave him a warning first. So he's basically saying, I'm warning you. So I feel like this is kind of like the old Huck Finn book that you read when you were in high school, right, or middle school. And the same type of principle is that we're going to teach you a lesson, but I'm going to teach you a lesson on a lesson on a lesson. It's the building blocks of it. So they started off with one story, shooting up and killing them. Then he tells the police, I told you not to come in here. The police came in. He wiped out the entire police force. Literally, you haven't seen that part, obviously. So inside the movie, he basically said,
he's like a pillbox. He has a pillbox in his house.
Pillbox, and he has two guns, like PKM, I don't even, right? And he mows down the police. And it's a consequence for the fact that you made him the enemy, when the enemy, you couldn't even take care of the enemy when it was victimizing people in the community, right? So again, it's that idea of the target within the target. We say that the police are there to protect you, but they're not. They're there to victimize you because you're willing to hold people accountable for doing bad things. So it's a story within a story. And then he goes through how he snaps the arms of the boys that were beating up on the boy, but he gave them a warning, right? So society has a set of consequences that go, and you try to warn them. You try to tell them up front, look, I'm going to beat your ass, right? You're about to get your ass beat. And we say you're about to get your ass beat. We say we're about to get your ass beat. We go through it over and over and over again. And then you get down to it and they do it again and you beat their ass. And then here comes the little Mr. Policeman walking in, boop, 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 saying, we're going to arrest you for beating his ass. And I was like, I told him 4 times, you're about to get your ass beat. This is really simple, right? So the movie, yeah, it has a couple of things that are, dynamically hyperbolic for sure. But the other part of it is it's saying that this is where we're headed. Like the police don't get a free pass. The judges don't get there's people that have tried to contain us as people and let us be victimized while watching us become victims. Then putting those people back on the street to victimize us again, only to arrest us when we retaliate against the evil that is taking from us what was never theirs to take. So it becomes their tool on their side, right, to use against us as Americans. And then when we finally have enough, they're like, oh, we're going to come after you because you should have let us handle it.
Yeah, that you just described COVID.
Yeah.
And we haven't grown anything from that.
No,
I had this discussion the other day, and there was this argument for COVID amnesty. Do you remember? You remember hearing that term?
Yeah.
That we needed to, kind of forgive and move on. There needed to be that. And instead of COVID amnesty, which is where you come in to me, Joe, and you say, I did this wrong. I made bad choices. They were illegal, immoral, unethical, whatever that you want to call it. And I did these things. And the consequences of which is I have to ask you for forgiveness because I recognize what I did was inappropriate and I want to change my behavior. But first, I want you to forgive me. That's amnesty. Right. What we got was COVID amnesia. We have a bunch of people that woke up and then just went like, well, that's some old shit. So we're not going to worry about that. And we're still 1 week away from people fighting it out, potentially to involve lethal violence over toilet paper and a carton of eggs in a Costco. We're 1 to 2 weeks away from that. Like right now, we could be 1 week away from that because it could really be that quick. And so we didn't fix that problem. We didn't fix that social problem either. And we didn't fix the problem of people taking personal responsibility. So I get it. My frustration is like, yeah, that guy stepping in for the people who can't step up. It's not his fight to have. That's the thing that's frustrating. It's like, that's not your fight. Your fight is if people in Europe wanted that, and apparently they do, and not all of them do, and obviously the system is set up that it's going to punish anybody who goes against it, Tommy Robinson types or whatever, you're going to have this experience that's going to be, you're going to be exploited by the system, and they're going to just target you because you're the nail that is standing highest. So you're going to get the hammer. But what's going on in Minnesota? Minnesota is salt of the earth as a place. It's the place my grandmother was born. My grandmother was born there, 96 years ago. She just passed a couple weeks ago. And it's like that Minnesota that she grew up in is not the place that currently exists. Not even close. Where did Minnesotans go? They're overrun by people from Somalia. That's insane. And there are arguments that they gave them their own, they took away their state flag and they built up a new state flag.
The Somali state flag? The Somali state flag?
Have you seen it?
Dumber than a rock. Oh yeah, I've seen it. And it shouldn't be allowed by the people. The people are being held hostage again by people that don't deserve to take the entitlements, that are basically treating Americans as if they are their slaves. And whether that is a religious mandate from a religious group, or whether that is a illegal, cultural mandate that they're capturing the country or the state, it doesn't hardly matter to me. I don't care about those people. I want them out of my country. I want them out of my community. Yeah. And the people that embrace those people in that community because they want to say that they're a bleeding heart are not doing it from a position that they recognize that they're taking anything from them, because most of those people don't have anything that they've contributed to society at all, period, anyway.
Right.
Frankly.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are the loudest voice, are the ones that are getting entitlements and giving entitlements to other people while stepping on the throats of Americans that are having to work 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole point of when I said the fundamental deal has to be hard work eventually equals you succeed. That's the American bargain, period.
Yeah.
And there's a work ethic that's involved. And if you're from anywhere else, we'll embrace you. We don't really care about that. We don't care what you look like. We don't care about your skin color. We kind of care about your creed, because your creed says a lot about like what you value. But as long as you're willing to put the same values up culturally that we have, which are Christian values, then yeah, come on in. Welcome to it. But the problem is that, as I think we've articulated, is that we're not dealing with that fair bargain. And I don't think Americans are seeing the bargain that they're expecting. They had a guy that came in, he said he was going to try to restore the bargain, and we haven't seen it. We got Tulsi Gabbard's giving us nice speeches. We've got people who claim they were going to go clean out federal agencies. We had 20 core promises that were going to, quote unquote, make America great again. That assumes a couple things. America was greater in the past. There's a nostalgia for that greatness, and that it can be reachieved. And the mechanism by which it was, quote, America first, taking this country and putting it up front. But I can't make them do that. I saw them promise it. I voted for it. It doesn't seem like it made a difference. You voted for it. You wanted the same thing. We share that same value. And at the same time, it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to take people at their word. If they promised me something, they're in the position theoretically to be able to deliver it, and they don't, and they can't get their party on board to do it. And that's what they said their party's values were. What I see is a group of people that just want to be in the opposition. It seems like there's a lot of money to be raised if you can complain about the problem. And the worst thing that could happen is, God forbid, you're the dog that catches the car. And now you got to figure out what to do with those hubcaps. You were chasing them. It was all good when you were loud and barking. And the minute the car comes to a stop and you're right next to it, and you're like, now what do I do? I'm a dog and it's a freaking car. And that seems to be the way that you see GOP governance work. It's make sure you get ineffective people in there, because God forbid they actually try to do something. If the impact happens, then the whole house of cards come down, and we might actually get the system that people wanted. And guess what? That'd be hard on Americans too. It would be a lot more responsibility shoved back on people. And so it's more fun to just cheer for like a football game. It's more fun to like cheer for politics, because that is our modern sport right now. That's the most talked about sporting event right now, is national politics. And state politics is the second most. That's like the college football level. We literally cheer on politicians as though they are
gladiators. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're like pussies, gladiators. They're weak and dumb.
They're not. They have no appetite to do anything other than to commit other resources to fight their battles for them. They're very weak, and they don't want strong leaders.
If you have a political party that thinks that government is the answer to every problem, and that's essentially what your modern political left looks like, that's what progressives say, that's what Democrats are more or less the core version of it. That's their argument. Government answers all problems. The Republican answer is different government solves every government problem. There's no political right wing in America. There's no conservative part of it. And the stuff that they ran on, Donald Trump was about 75% conservative-ish values, but he's a 90s Democrat. Somebody was like, oh, does he know he's talking to the AI ghost of Teddy Roosevelt, that Teddy Roosevelt was a big government liberal? It's like, so is Trump. He's a big government liberal. His wife just came out and said, we need to protect the LGBTQIA+, and we need more lemon pledge. Booyah, Navy. Booyah. Did you see that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've just...
Booyah, Navy.
I'm going to get myself in trouble if I respond to this.
I so dislike first ladies as a general rule. I'm like, who are you? Nobody cares. If you have a plumber coming to work on your plumbing, I don't care what his wife thinks about anything. Honestly, it's just like, it's completely irrelevant to the job that's out there. Just stop. Like, Joe, am I wrong?
No,
okay.
Not at all. All right, we're at the end of 2 hours. We are done. I had so much more stuff to go through with you, but we think we got a lot off the table. I get to pray us out, which is good. Or you want to pray us out?
Pray us out.
Huh?
You pray us out.
All right. So with that said, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, tune in and more. Yeah, I'm wearing a tie. I hope you guys like it. A lot to go on.
That's why you got to pray us out.
I got to pray us out because I'm wearing a tie. A lot of cool things that are happening. So I have to wear a tie now. So it's different stuff. Also, you're the ambassadors of truth. Go ahead and share it. Yes, I do recognize that we are being shadow banned. Thanks for using Untamed Nation as your tool. If you want to make sure that you get information from us, just text freedom to 89517 and we'll send you something when we go live. All right. Hey, Kyle, it's always good to have you on. Always. I'm still in the white pill deal. You're not gonna get me all the way to the black pill, but I understand your perspective. We talk a lot about this, so it's good stuff. It's really good stuff. All right, I get to pray us out. Father God, thank you for the opportunity to be here with Kyle. Thank you for just the veil that you've been able to release from us and pull back so we can see what's really happening in real time. It's this ridiculous time to be here, Father, born at a time such as this, alive at a time such as this, recognizing the trials that we're going to have to go through, and just the future doesn't necessarily look all that great from the surface. But we do recognize, Father, that it is your plan. It's not ours. And so, Father, we are grateful for our friendships. We're grateful for the journeys that we take, even when they're painful. And we're grateful for our salvation. Father, I just ask you to be with Kyle and to protect him and his family, and to protect his words, protect the truth. And Father, we do pray that President Trump is able to, drop the proverbial hammer, but we also know that things happen in your time. Help us so we may understand what is happening, Father, but more importantly, that we may commit ourselves to do your work, to restore you to our community, to our country, and to overcome this evil, this pervasive evil that seems to have consumed us. We ask these things, Father, humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right. So, Kyle, I will see you in about a week. I'll be down there to say hello to you.
Let's do it. Let's go.
It's good to see you. God bless you, brother.
All right. You too, buddy. Good talking.
All right.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown, tame nation. It's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild forever.